Ethan stood in the bustling lobby of the skyscraper, his heart racing like a runaway train. It was a crisp morning in downtown Seattle, and the sun streamed through the glass walls of the building. He worked here, but today felt different. Today something huge was supposed to happen. The clock ticked closer to the hour, and anxiety twisted in his stomach. Ethan was a simple guy, not someone who usually sought the spotlight. He worked diligently as an intern for a tech company, grinding away at his tasks in the shadows of the big names around him. But today, the founder of the company was visiting to evaluate potential projects. This was a rare chance to share his ideas. This was a moment that could change everything if only he could gather the courage to seize it. As he waited for the elevator, his mind raced with possibilities. What if he froze when he saw him? What if he stuttered through his pitch? The elevator door slid open, and a group of executives strutted out, laughing and chatting, their confidence glowing like a beacon. Ethan hesitated, then steeled himself, stepping into the elevator as the doors closed behind him. The elevator felt small and stuffy, and the air hummed with anticipation. He stood still in the center, unable to shake off the nervous energy. The floor numbers flickered above him, each one feeling like a clock counting down to his moment of truth. Suddenly, the elevator jolted, then came to a halt. The lights flickered and the digital display blinked. Panic washed over him. Was this really happening? He looked around, feeling the weight of the situation collide with his anxious mind. But just then he heard a familiar voice, a commanding presence. The founder was there, riding up to the same meeting. Ethan's heart flipped. He had seen him on videos, read about his journey, but here he was, a real person in the flesh. The man was tall, with sharp features and a gaze that seemed to light up the small space. Without a second thought, Ethan reached for the emergency button. He had to get them moving again. They simply couldn't be stuck like this. The founder said, raising an eyebrow. Ethan swallowed hard. Yes. He pressed the button fervently, but nothing happened. The digital numbers remained frozen, and the reality of the moment sank in further. They were stuck just when he needed to shine. Silence enveloped the tiny elevator. Ethan glanced at the founder, who seemed to assess the situation calmly. The man didn't look worried, but Ethan could see a flicker of annoyance. It made sense. He was a busy man with meetings to attend and minutes to count. Ethan's pulse pounded. He knew this was just another hurdle. If he was going to speak, it had to be now, or the opportunity would slip away like water through his fingers. "I really admire your work," he stammered, his voice barely a whisper. "Thank you," the founder said, nodding appreciatively, his gaze softening a bit. "That's nice to hear." "I'm an intern in development," Ethan replied, finding a bit of strength in the question. That's where the magic happens," the founder responded, a slight smile forming. Ethan hesitated, but the conversation sparked a small fire deep within him. "I've been working on an update that integrates user feedback more effectively. It's about seeing our users not just as numbers, but as people with real experiences." The founder perked up, and Ethan could see his interest growing. "That sounds promising," he said, leaning in slightly. Ethan felt a rush of hope. Were they actually having a meaningful exchange? Here he was, a small intern talking to a giant in the industry. The elevator hummed with unspoken possibilities. He had to keep dancing. But Ethan continued, gathering his courage. "I think part of the issue is that sometimes we get so caught up in the data." "True," the founder said, folding his arms as if considering Ethan's words carefully. "It's easy to forget that behind every number is a person." Ethan felt a spark ignite in his chest. Exactly. "I believe that if we build a system that celebrated user stories, it could change everything." The founder's eyes glimmered. For a moment he looked genuinely intrigued. "I love the passion." They stood in silence, and Ethan marveled at how a simple elevator ride had opened a door, even if it was a metaphorical one. He wanted to say more, to spill all his ideas and dreams, but just then, the elevator jolted back to life. The lights flickered and the doors finally opened. Ethan took a step forward, feeling a mix of relief and disappointment. He hadn't expected the conversation to stop so soon, but as he turned to leave, he paused and took a deep breath. "Wait, before you go," Ethan said, desperation creeping into his voice. "Can I get your card?" The founder smiled, and suddenly the tension of the moment faded like mist in the sunlight. "You know what? I like your tenacity." He fished a business card from his pocket and handed it over. "Email me." Ethan's heart soared. He could hardly believe what just happened. The founder stepped out of the elevator, pausing just before disappearing around the corner. "Good luck with the project, Ethan," he said, flashing a grin. And just like that, he was gone, leaving Ethan standing in the elevator, disbelief washing over him. Walking out into the lobby, it felt as if the entire world had shifted. The hustle and bustle of the office building seemed to magnify. People rushed by, yet everything slowed down for him. In that brief encounter, he realized something profound. Opportunities often arrive in unexpected ways, disguised in moments we might overlook. Days turned into weeks, and as the anticipation built around the founder's visit, Ethan worked fervently on his ideas. He crafted every detail, pouring his heart into the project he had pitched. Every late night spent coding, every moment spent designing user feedback forms, all of it was for this moment. He could feel the weight of hope blending with dread. Finally, the day arrived when he was scheduled to meet the founder again. His palms were sweaty and each breath felt deeper than the last. He stood in front of the conference room, taking a moment to collect himself, reminding himself that he was capable, he was ready. As he walked in, the room was filled with the founder and other executives, including that same confident group who had exited the elevator earlier. The air buzzed with anticipation. Ethan took a deep breath, willing his heart to calm. The founder greeted him with warmth. "Thank you for having me," he replied, trying to sound confident, but his voice cracked just a little. The founder asked, gesturing to the presentation setup. Ethan started to share his ideas, the same ones he'd whispered in that elevator. The blending of stories and user engagement. The need for understanding their audience, truly understanding. He watched as the founder leaned forward, intrigued, nodding along. Others were captivated too, some even scribbling notes. When he finished, the room erupted in applause. Suddenly, the original nervous energy shifted to exhilaration. The founder smiled, pride evident in his demeanor. "This is exactly what we need." It's fresh, it's bold. Ethan felt as if he were on top of the world. The struggle, the tension, the elevator ride, it had all built up to this. He saw the path ahead, illuminated by hope and possibility. In that moment, he realized that sometimes courage isn't about being fearless. It's about rising to meet the moment, even when you're scared. It's about holding the door open for potential, just like he had done in the elevator. And as he exited the conference room, the founder placed a hand on his shoulder, a gesture of recognition. "Great job, Ethan." Ethan smiled, the weight of doubt lifting as he stepped into a brighter future. Ethan stood there, heart pounding, as the elevator doors began to slide shut. He was just a split second away from missing his chance to impress the founder of the company he had idolized since he stepped foot in the tech world. Every fiber of his being screamed at him to act, to speak, to bridge the divide between his dreams and reality. He dashed forward, stretching out his arm. "Wait!" The steel doors jerked back open at his desperate call, revealing a puzzled yet amused face, the founder himself, a legend in the industry, known for his fierce intellect and unyielding ambition. The founder asked, his tone a playful challenge. Ethan blurted, stepping inside. It felt surreal. He was sharing an elevator ride with the very person he admired most. The doors closed behind him, and the whole world outside seemed to fade away. As the elevator began its ascent, the silence between them cast a warm glow of possibility. Ethan's heart raced and his mind spun, overwhelmed yet eager to grasp this rare moment. The walls felt closer, narrowing the gap between his dreams and the towering figure next to him. He had spent countless hours analyzing the founder's strategies, dissecting his speeches, imagining what it would be like to have a conversation like this. Yet here he was, rendered almost mute by the weight of his own aspirations. The founder asked, breaking the quiet. "Intern, development," Ethan managed, his words tumbling out as he tried to control his tremors. "I'm working on a new software update that I think could." The founder turned, eyebrow raised in intrigue. "Really? Engage users better?" Ethan blinked, surprised. "Yes, but it's not just about numbers. People need to feel connected, like their voices matter, you know." The founder nodded, his expression shifting from generic curiosity to genuine interest. Transforming data into stories, huh? Ethan's nerves started to settle as he dared to meet the founder's gaze. Could this elevator be the launching pad for something incredible? His mind raced with possibilities, like fireworks bursting in the night sky. Suddenly the elevator lurched and the lights flickered. What the Ethan gasped as the machinery groaned to a halt. He felt the air thicken with tension. The founder's calm exterior didn't waver, but the atmosphere shifted. "Not exactly my idea of a productive ride," he finally said. Ethan swallowed hard. The four walls began to feel like a cage, each second stretching into an eternity. He pressed the emergency button, but it only emitted a dull beep, confirming his worst fears. They were stuck. His mind raced. What if they were here forever? It was a thought that spiraled into dread. "This is seriously bad timing," he murmured. "Timing is everything in life," the founder replied, leaning back against the wall, his confidence seeming unshaken. "But you know, every setback is a chance for breakthrough." Ethan felt a flicker of hope. "Right," the founder encouraged. "Tell me more, lay it all out." With that simple invitation, Ethan found his voice. He had rehearsed the pitch so many times in his head, each iteration perfecting his thoughts, but now he poured his heart out, speaking not just about the technical processes but about the human connection, the very lifeblood of what technology should accomplish. Imagine a platform where users become storytellers. He became immersed in his vision, his nervousness reversing into undeniable passion. The founder leaned forward, nodding, his expression tightening as he wrapped his mind around the idea. People love stories, they remember them. Ethan explained how user feedback could be integrated into the framework of the app while still keeping the interface user-friendly. He painted a picture of dynamic interactions that broke the monotony of existing platforms. He spoke confidently, detailing tactics while considering how emotionally resonant stories could turn disinterest into genuine connection. As he spoke, he could see the founder's eyes glimmering with approval. Each point he made seemed to resonate. The tension that once filled the space was replaced by a palpable excitement. The founder was invested now, leaning into Ethan's words. But then, the reality of their situation crashed back. The elevator hadn't budged, and Ethan glanced up nervously at the flickering lights. What if they were stuck here for hours? Would the moment slip away from him? Okay, deep breaths, the founder said, seeing the flicker of doubt in Ethan's eyes. We're still here. Ethan felt like he was floating. The fear was ever present, but he refused to let it drown him. I want to create a prototype, he said firmly. I want to get real stories. I want to see how our users interact and feel. Listen, Ethan, I like your enthusiasm, the founder said, his voice steady, grounding. But the challenge is getting others on board. Ethan nodded, gathering his thoughts. Yes, I've talked with a few colleagues. In that moment inside a halted elevator, they created a spark of connection that felt electric. Ethan realized that the founder's belief was crucial. It strummed at strings of possibility. But just as quickly as hope had arrived, it was cut short. An incessant screech echoed as the elevator jolted back to life, lights steadying. With a faint whir, it began to move again. Ethan's heart raced as it descended the floors. He felt the urge to panic, knowing this moment might escape him before he could seal the deal. But before he knew it, the elevator doors opened. He called out just before the founder stepped out. The tall figure paused, turning back to face Ethan. Ethan took a deep breath, uncertain. Can I get your card? I'd love to send you more details about the project. The founder considered the request for a moment, his expression shifting to something more thoughtful. You got guts, kid. He reached into his pocket and produced a business card, handing it over with a firm grip. Email me, don't wait to share your ideas, follow up. Ethan accepted the card, a surge of joy flooding through him. Thank you. And with that, the founder turned, walking away as Ethan stood there, stunned. The world around him resumed its buzz, the sounds of phones ringing and voices chasing each other. But for Ethan, nothing mattered. He had just made a connection that could change everything. He had poured out his dreams in an elevator, and it transformed into something real. Days turned into weeks as Ethan's life became a whirlwind of sleepless nights and code-filled days. He worked diligently, a fire ignited inside him, fueled by possibility. He followed up just as promised, succinctly crafting every email and detail to turn the foundation of his dream into a solid form. His colleagues noticed the change too. They rallied around him, excited to contribute. It felt surreal. The energy was infectious, each interaction buzzing with electricity. They spoke of building something great, of collaboration, of stories that would thread through their work. Finally, the day arrived when the founder invited him back to discuss the project in a more formal context. As Ethan stepped into the conference room, he felt the weight of anticipation settle over him. The founder was there, and alongside him, the executives, their expressions a mix of curiosity and skepticism. The founder asked, a casual tone lacing his words. Ethan took a steadying breath, the confidence from the elevator flooding back. I've got a prototype ready to show. As he presented, illustrating each detail passionately, the founder leaned forward, attention keen. He could feel the energy in the room shift. The executives began to nod in appreciation, and even the skeptical ones seemed intrigued. When the presentation concluded, a few moments of silence ensued, but then the room erupted in discussion. Ideas bounced like sparks as the founder chimed in with recommendations, his interest palpable. Ethan couldn't help but feel a surge of pride at his accomplishment. It was more than just pitching an idea. He had created a dialogue that allowed his vision a life of its own. He had found allies, and together they were on a path that felt groundbreaking. And just like that, the moment he had once feared turned into the beginning of something far greater. It solidified his belief that every opportunity, every small connection, could lead to something extraordinary. As he left that room, grinning ear to ear, Ethan knew that an elevator ride of chance had transformed into a journey of possibility. He embraced every lesson, every challenge, and each connection that would come his way, ready to face whatever lay ahead on the horizon. The elevator doors were just about to slide shut when Ethan lunged forward, his heart racing. Wait, the cold steel creaked back open, revealing a well-dressed figure inside. Ethan's breath caught in his throat as he recognized the man, the founder of the tech company he worked for, the very person whose vision had inspired his career. Looks like someone's in a hurry, the founder remarked, a small smile breaking his otherwise stoic demeanor. Yes, Ethan managed, stepping inside just as the doors closed behind him. The air was thick with unspoken potential as they ascended. The founder was a legend, a visionary whose ideas had revolutionized the industry. Ethan had studied him closely, but now, standing just a foot away, he felt the weight of the moment pressing down on him. Nice suit, the founder said, glancing at Ethan's attire. Ethan chuckled nervously. Thanks. As the elevator rose, the floor indicators seemed to tick by slowly, each one circling around the excitement in Ethan's chest. He asked, trying to find common ground. Yeah, the founder replied, adjusting his cufflinks. Big decisions today. He glanced at Ethan, his expression softening. Yes, I work on the back-end systems, Ethan replied, his enthusiasm bubbling over. I've actually been working on a project that could really enhance user engagement if you... But before he could finish, the elevator jolted violently, the lights flickering ominously. Panic punctured the moment, and Ethan felt his stomach drop. He gasped. "Looks like we've hit a snag," the founder said, his voice calm. Ethan pressed the emergency button, but all it emitted was a steady beep. "This is not how I imagined my day going," he mumbled, feeling frustration and fear churn within him. "Hey, don't worry," the founder reassured him. "Every challenge is an opportunity." Ethan's heart raced for a different reason now. He couldn't let this moment slip away. He had to seize the opportunity, no matter how small. "You?" he asked, trying to sound more confident than he felt. Ethan nodded, gathering himself. "Go on," the founder urged, leaning against the wall, his interest piqued. What started as a flicker of hope burst into flames. "I believe technology should not only serve functions, but create connections. If we leverage these stories, we can engage users on a deeper level. When people feel included, their loyalty grows." The founder's brow furrowed momentarily, deep in thought. I once read that emotional connections are pivotal in building brands," Ethan exclaimed, his voice growing steadier. "If we can create a platform that celebrates user stories, it can humanize our product." Ethan could see the founder nodding along, his eyes alight with intrigue. The elevator walls felt less confining now, filled with the energy of their discussion. "Okay, I like where you're going with this," the founder responded, pausing to consider. By showing them that their stories are valued, Ethan continued, gaining momentum. "It's about cultivating trust. We could implement features that encourage users to share their journeys with incentives that make participation worthwhile. A story wall, perhaps, where users can see their words come to life." Just as Ethan was losing himself in the vision, the elevator lurched again, prompting Ethan to grab the rail. The lights flickered, intensifying the tension. The founder chuckled, but Ethan could sense the undercurrent of anxiety, even from the legend himself. "No," Ethan said, trying to channel the unease into focus. "But if we can foster a sense of community even amidst setbacks, we create a dynamic culture." "That's bold," the founder mused, studying Ethan closely. Ethan saw a golden chance glowing in front of him. "We can build an AI that analyzes the sentiment of submitted stories and matches them with similar experiences. It could provide personalized feedback, creating an ecosystem of shared experiences." The founder's eyes widened a bit, captivated. "It seems like you've thought this through." Ethan's heart surged with determination. "Absolutely. People crave connection, especially in a digital world where interactions can feel so hollow." As he spoke, he could see the founder's skepticism waver, replaced by genuine curiosity. You remind me of myself when I first started. I was passionate about shaking up the industry, not just fitting in." They stood in the elevator together, suspended in time. The world outside felt far away, and for that moment it was just Ethan and the founder, caught in a discussion that ignited everything they believed in. Yet the uncertainty of their situation loomed. "We might be stuck in this metal box indefinitely," Ethan said, glancing at the unresponsive panel. The founder laughed lightly. "I like your spirit." Ethan smiled back, emboldened by the camaraderie that had developed between them. This was a chance to prove his worth, to show that he wasn't just an intern in the shadows, but an aspiring visionary who believed in something bigger. "That's what I hope to convey to our users, too," Ethan continued. "If we celebrate our humanity and our stories, we can dismantle barriers that technology often creates." Just then the elevator jolted again, before the lights blinked back on. The doors cracked open to reveal the floor they were heading toward. Adrenaline surged. "Rush hour, right on schedule," the founder said, casually glancing at Ethan with a knowing look. Ethan felt his heart race once more, but this time it was with excitement. "Yes." As they stepped out of the elevator, the bustling office surroundings came alive with the sounds of voices and the quick tap of heels against polished floors. For a brief moment, Ethan's mind slipped into a daze. He could hardly believe he had just experienced something monumental, navigating a pivotal discussion with a man he'd long admired. As they walked toward the conference room, the founder turned to him. "You've got something special here, Ethan." Ethan beamed, feeling an intense sense of validation wash over him. The conference room awaited, its long table flanked by a collection of sharp minds executives ready to dissect ideas and strategies. As the founder opened the door, Ethan found himself standing on the threshold, suddenly aware of the weight of what was about to unfold. "Team, this is Ethan," the founder announced, gesturing for him to step forward. "He's got a project that could redefine how we engage with our users." Ethan took a deep breath, stealing glances at the serious faces before him. But within those eyes were flickers of curiosity and the possibility of change. He stepped up, the adrenaline screaming in his veins. "I'm excited to share my vision," he said, making direct eye contact with the founder. "I believe that if we connect our users through storytelling, we're not just creating a product, we're fostering a community." With every word, he painted the portrait of a new future. He could feel the energy growing in the room, heads nodding and fingers tapping notes. Each voice brought forth ideas, enhancements, a dialogue that multiplied, spiraling into wild and inspiring possibilities. And there, amidst the powerful energy of the room, surrounded by innovation and collaboration, Ethan realized he had transcended his role as an intern. He was a part of something much larger, a movement of connection, humanity, and technological advancement. When he stepped out of that conference room, following the founder down the hall, he felt weightless. It was more than just an elevator door he had held. It was the key to unlocking his potential, paving the way for a future he had only dared to dream about. And now it was within reach. Ethan stood in the sleek glass lobby of a towering skyscraper, heart racing like a drumbeat thundering in his ears. He had rehearsed his pitch so many times that the words felt like a part of him. Yet now, facing the very moment he had dreamed of, he felt utterly unprepared. Today marked the founder's visit, that elusive figure who had transformed the tech landscape with his groundbreaking ideas. It felt like a line drawn in the sand. Crossing it could change everything for Ethan. The elevator doors glinted as they opened, revealing a small space inside. Without thinking, he stepped forward, but his breath caught in his throat when he saw who was already inside, the founder himself. The man was a giant in the industry, a visionary with a mind that could see the future before it happened. Ethan shouted, lunging forward just as the doors were about to close. The founder smirked, his eyes glinting with amusement. "Nice catch," he said, stepping back to let Ethan in. Ethan could hardly believe it. Their shoulders brushed as they stood together in the cramped elevator, and he fought the urge to succumb to the weight of his nerves. As the door slid shut, reality set in. Man he had idolized was just feet away from him, and now they were alone in this metal box, rising through the floors of hope and ambition. The founder asked, glancing sideways. The meet and greet," Ethan stammered, forcing his gaze forward to hide his jitters. Each word felt like gold weighing heavy on his tongue. Development," the founder replied, nodding. Ethan's heart surged. This was the opening he needed. "Yes, I've been working on a new platform update that focuses on user engagement." The founder raised an eyebrow, his interest peaked. Interesting approach, people love stories. Ethan felt a flicker of hope ignite, he was getting somewhere. Exactly, but just as the words left his mouth, the elevator lurched violently. Ethan's stomach dropped and he clutched the railing as the lights flickered. "Looks like we're stuck," the founder said, his calmness contrasting Ethan's growing panic. "We can't be stuck," Ethan exclaimed, pressing the emergency button repeatedly. But it only beeped softly, mocking him. The founder sighed, shaking his head. "Sometimes things go off script, take a breather." Ethan felt anger bubble inside him. This was not how he had planned the day. "Yeah, great time, just what I need," he muttered, frustration spilling from his lips. He let out a shaky breath, willing himself to calm down. The founder said, glancing at him wisely as if he understood the storm of emotions brewing inside. "Opportunity." "Sure, if we ever get out of here," Ethan replied, but as soon as he spoke, he realized how defeatist he sounded. "Maybe it's time to switch gears then. Tell me more about your idea," the founder prompted, leaning back against the wall, relaxed yet attentive. Ethan blinked, surprise washing over him. Here was his chance to make an impression, trapped in an elevator that could hopefully become a catalyst for change. "All right, the idea is to create a feature that transforms user data into personal stories. We could even implement an AI that analyzes sentiment and pairs people with similar experiences." The founder's eyes sparked with interest. "You're talking about creating emotional connections," Ethan urged, his nerves fading as his passion took over. "And it's not just about engagement, well, at least not in the usual sense." A flicker of possibility ignited in the air, and Ethan realized he was no longer just the nervous intern. He was pitching a vision, and the founder was listening, but the fear still nagged at him, the fear of not making the most of this unique moment, of losing his chance forever. Ethan continued, wanting to prove his depth of thought. "Trust," the founder said simply, his gaze steady. "If users trust that their voices will be heard and valued, they'll open up." Ethan nodded, the thoughts racing through his mind. "Absolutely, we could create incentives for sharing, a story wall where users can showcase their experiences." The founder grinned, genuine excitement dancing in his eyes. "Now you're talking." But just as the connection deepened, the elevator jolted once more, breaking their intense focus. Ethan felt a rush of fear wash over him again as he glanced at the flickering lights. "Still stuck," the founder remarked, trying to lighten the mood. "But now I feel like I'm on the edge of something big." "Thanks," Ethan replied, adrenaline rushing through him. "I admire your conviction," the founder said, his demeanor transforming from executive to mentor. Ethan couldn't believe what he just heard. Here he was, bouncing ideas off the very man who had once seemed untouchable. The walls of the elevator didn't feel so confining anymore. They had transformed into a canvas of dreams and aspirations. He took a deep breath, gathering his strength as he tossed out more ideas, his voice steady now. "If we could create a beta version, something ephemeral that showcases users' experiences, we could gather feedback and iterate based on that." "Now you're cooking," the founder said, animatedly nodding along. Suddenly, the elevator jolted violently again, and the lights flickered one last time. Ethan braced himself, but when he looked up, the panel regained its glow, the doors creaking open to reveal the lobby once more. Finally, Ethan exclaimed, relief flooding through him. The founder chuckled, stepping out first. "Keep that fire alive," he said, looking back at Ethan. Ethan felt a rush of exhilaration. Of course, as he stepped out of the elevator, the active buzz of the office came rushing back, but he felt different, empowered, validated. That small interaction with the founder had shifted something inside him. The lofty goal of success suddenly felt tangible, almost within reach. And then it happened. The founder turned, extending his hand. "Great to meet you, Ethan." Ethan stood stunned for a moment before shaking the founder's hand, a wave of electricity surging through them. It felt like a deeper acknowledgement, a handshake signifying trust, a bridge built over uncertainty, a pathway to future opportunities. "Thank you." "I won't let you down," Ethan said, his voice resolute. As the founder walked away, Ethan stood there, absorbing the reality that had unfolded. Days turned into weeks, and the aftermath of their brief interaction propelled Ethan into a whirlwind of inspiration and hard work. He spent late nights coding, brainstorming, and collaborating with colleagues who had rallied around his vision. Each day felt like a step closer to achieving something meaningful, something that could make a difference. One afternoon, he sat surrounded by whiteboards filled with scribbles, a team working beside him, fueling each other's creativity. The energy buzzed, ideas bouncing around as they strung narratives together like notes in a symphony. He could feel the excitement crackling in the air. During one of those brainstorming sessions, Ethan looked up and declared, "What if we host a story competition? Don't just take stories, but make it a celebration." Cheers erupted around him, and he felt alive. "Let's not just build a product, let's engage with our community meaningfully." As weeks turned into months, they poured every ounce of their passion into the project. With each user story collected, feedback looped back, creating a vibrant tapestry of shared experiences. They built an online platform that shone, attracting fans and users who felt connected to both each other and the product. Finally, launch day arrived. The team gathered in the office, just as anxious as they were excited. Each one of them had poured their hearts into bringing this idea to life, and now it was time to unveil it to the world. Ethan stood at the front, ready to present their creation, adrenaline coursing through him. "Today, we don't just launch an application, we launch a community." As applause erupted around him, Ethan felt an overwhelming sense of fulfillment wash over him. Memories of that elevator ride flooded back, the relentless drive born from uncertainty. He had taken a leap, held the door open just long enough, and it had led him somewhere extraordinary. After the presentation, the founder didn't just shake his hand again. This time he approached Ethan with a smile that said everything. "You've turned a spark into a flame, and you just might have ignited a revolution in user engagement," he said, pride glimmering in his voice. Standing there with the weight of the journey behind him and the promise of the future ahead, Ethan realized that sometimes it takes one fleeting moment, one brave act to change the trajectory of your life forever. And all it took was holding the elevator door open. The elevator doors were about to shut, and Ethan sprinted forward. "Wait," he shouted, his voice slicing through the quiet of the glass-clad lobby. It was a moment filled with panic and hope, as if time had slowed down just for him. The doors halted, sliding back open to reveal the founder of the tech company he had admired for years. The founder, a legendary figure in the industry, raised an eyebrow. "Close call," he said, a smirk tugging at the corners of his mouth. Ethan stepped inside, heart pounding, the air thick with unspoken dreams. This was a chance he hadn't prepared for, a collision of ambition and unexpected reality. He stood just inches from the man whose name was synonymous with innovation. As the door slid shut, the elevator began its ascent. Ethan felt like he was on the edge of something monumental, an opportunity lurking in the shadows of this small metal box. He asked, trying to maintain composure. "Yep," the founder replied, adjusting his cufflinks. His tone was calm, but the urgency in his words was palpable. Ethan's thoughts raced. He had rehearsed his pitch countless times, but now that the moment was upon him, a wave of self-doubt crashed over him like a sudden storm. "I'm an intern in development," he said, trying to fill the silence with some semblance of confidence. "User engagement," the founder echoed, glancing over with genuine curiosity. Here it was, his opening. "I believe in the power of storytelling. Everyone has a story, right?" The founder's eyes lit up, curiosity sparking like a flame. "That's an interesting perspective," he said, leaning in just a little. But before Ethan could elaborate, the elevator jerked violently, pitching them both forward. Ethan gasped, gripping the railing to steady himself. "Looks like we're stuck," the founder said, his calm demeanor as steady as the walls surrounding them. No, Ethan's panic bubbled to the surface as he pressed the emergency button. A soft beep was the only response, echoing the dread building inside him. "Take a breath," the founder instructed, his voice steady. Ethan felt a knot tighten in his stomach. This was the pivotal moment he had trained for, and now it was slipping through his fingers. "This isn't how I envisioned today going," he murmured, frustration spilling out. "Life rarely goes as planned," the founder said, his tone warm yet firm. "But let's shift focus. You were talking about engagement." Hope surged through Ethan at the prompt. If they had to be stuck, this could very well be what he needed. "We could build a feature that incentivizes sharing personal narratives," he said, his voice growing steadier. Imagine a community wall where users post their stories, gaining points for likes and shares. Connection, the founder repeated thoughtfully. That's key, but what about the technology behind it? Ethan felt the gears of his mind clicking into place as if all the pieces of his pitch were coming together. We could integrate an AI that matches stories based on themes, providing tailored interactions. It's about ensuring users feel they're part of something larger. The founder was nodding, interest clearly piqued as he leaned in further. That sounds promising. Ethan caught his breath, feeling emboldened now. Definitely, trust is everything in this digital age. Just then, the elevator shifted again, but this time it was a gentle movement. Looks like they might be working on getting us out, the founder said, a hint of humor in his voice. Ethan didn't want to take his foot off the gas. This was his moment. By connecting users through their experiences, we can foster community like never before. The atmosphere inside the elevator felt electric now. The founder's intense gaze was an acknowledgement of the depth of their conversation, but just then the lights flickered again and the elevator jolted, bringing their focus back to reality. Every HVAC technician probably loves getting stuck in a metal box, the founder joked, but Ethan sensed the tension mix with genuine excitement. As the elevator settled back into silence, a thought crossed Ethan's mind. You know, when we talk about stories, we're talking about the human experience. It's about vulnerability. I think we could even create a campaign highlighting that. Vulnerability makes us human, the founder agreed, his voice low but powerful. Imagine the impact that would have. Ethan felt a rush of adrenaline. Exactly. Let's hope tech can rise to that challenge, the founder said, leaning back against the wall. His eyes glimmered with a spark of pride, and Ethan couldn't help but feel validated. Perhaps the legendary founder saw him not just as an intern, but as someone capable of shaping a vision. Moments turned fluid, time lost its grip as the two formulated ideas that danced on the edge of brilliance. Ethan joked, the founder chuckled. Life rarely follows a script. Ethan nodded, finally feeling that the elevator's confines were no longer a trap but a cocoon, nurturing a fledgling idea into flight. With each passing moment, his passion soared higher, gliding above fear and uncertainty. Before he realized it, the elevator jolted again, this time accompanied by a soft ding, the lights brightening. Their ride was coming to an end. Looks like we're back in business, the founder said, chuckling softly. Ethan felt a wave of excitement wash over him. He didn't want this conversation to end. Can I get your card? The founder paused, a sly smile playing on his lips. You've got guts, kid, I respect that. He pulled a business card from his pocket, handing it over with a confidence that said this moment meant something. As the elevator doors opened, Ethan's heart raced with a mixture of triumph and disbelief. He'd shared ideas with the founder and had a tangible connection to follow. He said, filled with gratitude. The founder stepped out, turning back briefly. Let's see if you can turn those thoughts into action. Ethan's heart soared. Standing there in the bustling lobby, he felt different. He felt alive with possibility. This encounter had transformed an ordinary day into an unforgettable experience, one that would shape the trajectory of his career. In the days following, Ethan was a whirlwind of productivity and optimism. He brainstormed ideas, gathered feedback from colleagues, and dove deep into research. The vision that started in that cramped elevator became a burning desire to create something transformational. Late nights turned into early mornings as he crafted proposals and mock-ups for the project, fueled by determination and the founder's faith in him. Every interaction with his colleagues fanned the flames of his ambition, igniting discussions and rallying support for the vision they all shared. Ethan felt like a conductor of a symphony, each member of the team playing a vital role in the crescendo of their idea. He organized meetings, outlining strategies that leaned heavily on the concepts they had developed together, weaving storytelling into the user experience. But as with any endeavor, there were hurdles. The pressure mounted as more stakeholders began to peer into the project. Questions surfaced. How would they measure success? What if users didn't engage? Each doubt felt like a shadow flickering at the edges of his newfound confidence, but Ethan fought against it. No, he would remind himself, returning to his passion. When the day finally arrived to present their concept to the executive team, Ethan felt the weight of both excitement and fear pressing against his chest. The conference room felt cavernous, filled with faces looking for insight, energy, and inspiration. Taking a deep breath, he strode to the front of the room, meeting the eyes of the founder among other executives, his heart pounding like a drum. Thank you all for being here today, Ethan began, his voice steady. As he spoke, he painted a picture, visuals of potential user experiences, glimmers of community forming, voices rising in harmony. Each element amplified the excitement that had first flickered in that elevator. The founder's presence hung in the air, strong and supportive. Imagine a community where users don't just consume but actively contribute, where their stories are celebrated and their experiences valued, Ethan continued, feeling the passion rise within him. The room shifted, heads nodding, eyes widening as the story unfolded. And as he shared their strategy, he could see the enthusiasm growing, a buzz of excitement reflecting back at him. By the end of the presentation, the atmosphere was electric, a current of possibilities sparking across the table. When the applause erupted, Ethan felt a rush of elation. Every late night, every ounce of worry had been worth it, and in that moment the founder turned to him, a gleam in his eyes. "You've made me proud, Ethan." Ethan felt the world shift beneath him, a landscape of opportunities unfurling before his eyes. As he basked in the applause and the camaraderie, he realized how far he had come, not just in terms of a project, but as an individual. He had entered that elevator a mere intern, unsure of himself, and had emerged as an advocate for stories, connection, and community. And all it took was a single, brave moment, a held door, and a leap toward the unknown. The founder walked over, clasping Ethan's shoulder, a gesture filled with warmth and recognition. "This is just the beginning," he said, his voice full of promise. As they stood together, surrounded by a team that had rallied around their vision, Ethan knew he would carry this day with him, etched into his journey. He had held the door open for opportunity, and it had led him to a future bursting with potential. Sometimes, the greatest moments lie in the smallest actions, and all it takes is a willingness to step forward, to connect, and to believe. The elevator doors were just about to close when Ethan saw him. His heart raced as he lunged forward, desperate to catch the legendary founder of the tech company he idolized. "Wait," he shouted, his voice echoing in the polished lobby. The doors paused, sliding back open, and there he was. The founder stepped back slightly, his expression a mix of amusement and surprise. "Close call," he said, allowing Ethan to step inside the small elevator. As the doors shut and the elevator began its ascent, Ethan's heart pounded in his chest. This was a moment he had long dreamed of, standing just a few feet from a man whose vision had revolutionized technology and inspired countless others. A million thoughts raced through his mind. Could he actually say something meaningful? Would he even dare pitch his own ideas? The founder asked, casually adjusting his cufflinks, a gesture that somehow made Ethan feel both at ease and even more nervous. Ethan replied, his voice a little too high-pitched. "I'm an intern in development," the founder said, glancing at Ethan with genuine interest. Ethan could feel the shifting momentum of the conversation. This was his chance. "I've been focused on improving user engagement. I think we could really benefit from turning user feedback into stories, creating a deeper connection with our audiences," he blurted out, adrenaline coursing through him. The founder raised an eyebrow, a hint of a smile playing at the corners of his mouth. "Interesting idea, people connect with stories." Ethan nodded enthusiastically. "Exactly." But before he could elaborate, the elevator jerked violently. Ethan's stomach dropped, and he instinctively grabbed the railing to steady himself. The lights flickered, and a moment of panic gripped him. "Looks like we're stuck," the founder said, his tone calm, even amused. Ethan's heart raced anew. "Are you serious? This can't be happening," he muttered, pressing the emergency button repeatedly. It beeped quietly, but nothing else happened. "Just take a breath," the founder said. Sometimes these moments force us to pause and think clearly. Ethan felt frustration bubbling inside him, mixed with an inexplicable thrill. This was his chance to shine. "You're right," he said, gathering his thoughts. "This could be an opportunity." "Now you're starting to think like a founder," he responded, his tone inviting. Ethan took a deep breath. "Okay, so this is what I really believe. If we make our users' voices the centerpiece, they'll engage more meaningfully." "Interesting approach," the founder asked, leaning closer, his curiosity palpable. Ethan could feel the tide turning in his favor. "We create an engaging platform, something similar to a digital community board. Users would gain rewards for sharing their experiences, like points that can be redeemed for features or even merchandise." The founder nodded, intrigued. Gamification could definitely heighten engagement, but what about the technology? A burst of confidence surged through Ethan. "We can leverage AI to analyze sentiment in user stories, matching similar experiences and creating a personalized feed." "Nice, personalized experiences are essential," the founder agreed, his eyes shining with interest. "But let's not forget the emotional aspect." Ethan felt a knot of understanding tighten in his chest. Trust is everything in this digital landscape. For a moment, the crowded elevator melted away. In that small space, their ideas intertwined, creating a tether that felt almost magical. But then the elevator jolted again, breaking the spell and bringing them back to reality. The founder exclaimed, chuckling, "You've got potential, Ethan." Ethan could hardly contain his excitement. The founder spoke words of encouragement that resonated deep within him. "Thank you, I won't let this opportunity pass," he said, feeling invigorated. The elevator lights flickered once more, but this time it felt like a moment of breakthrough. "You know," Ethan added, "every one of us has a story. Where we've been, where we're going, it's all part of a bigger narrative." The founder replied, his enthusiasm matching Ethan's. Just then the elevator jolted loudly and the lights flickered again. Ethan felt a twinge of anxiety, but the founder just laughed lightly. "Maybe they're just saving the best for last," Ethan shot back, feeling bolder than ever. The founder said, his eyes sparkling, "And you're doing it right here, right now." Suddenly, amidst the chatter and laughter, the elevator lurched again. But this time, instead of fear, Ethan felt exhilaration surge through him. This was his moment. Okay, here's the deal, the founder said, leaning closer. Let's say we were to move forward with your idea. Ethan's mind raced, fireworks exploding in his chest. Lead me? Yes, he stammered, his voice almost breaking. Just then, the elevator finally came to a stop and the doors opened to the lobby below. Light flooded in, casting a glow onto their faces. The founder stepped out first, turning to Ethan, a broad smile breaking over his features. You're not just an intern anymore, you've got the passion and the drive. Ethan felt like he was walking on air. Thank you. The founder extended his hand and Ethan couldn't believe it as he shook it. Good luck, Ethan. As Ethan stepped into the lobby, the world felt electric. He had just shared ideas with the founder, and they had resonated. The random elevator ride had transformed into a moment that could reshape his future. Days turned into weeks, and what started as fleeting inspiration evolved into something tangible. Fueled by adrenaline, Ethan put every ounce of effort into his work. He organized brainstorming sessions, gathering a team of like-minded individuals who believed in the vision he had shared in that elevator. Together, they crafted a proposal, integrating the ideas they had developed during their unexpected ride. Late nights turned into early mornings, but the dedication held them together. Each member fueled the other's creativity, and the atmosphere buzzed with an energy that felt contagious. But as with any ambitious project, there were bumps along the road. When it was time to present to the executive team, Ethan felt a knot tighten in his stomach. Would they believe in the idea as much as he did? The day of the show and tell arrived, and the nerves prickled at the back of his mind like static electricity. The conference room was intimidating, lined with experienced executives and the founder sitting at the head of the table. Thank you all for being here, Ethan began, standing tall, channeling every ounce of courage he had. With that, he started sharing the objectives, the strategies, and the user engagement goals they had worked tirelessly to achieve. As he spoke, the nerves eased, a sense of purpose rose within him. He painted a picture of connection that transcended technology, emphasizing the importance of storytelling. For every slide he presented, the founder's expression shifted from curiosity to intrigue. He could see the flickers of interest rise. People leaned forward, eyes glinting with ambition and expectation. Imagine a platform where users are not merely data points, Ethan continued, his voice steady. Are storytellers creating narratives that broaden horizons. Ethan's passion was contagious, and as he neared the end of his presentation, the room buzzed with energy. The founder caught his eye, giving a minute nod of approval, and that simple gesture filled him with renewed strength. The room erupted in applause when he finished, and as he drank it in, he felt pure, unadulterated joy wash over him. Every ounce of effort had been worth it. They had ignited a spark that could lead to something groundbreaking. The founder stood, clapping, pride evident in his expression. You've taken an idea and made it something tangible, he said, looking directly at Ethan. The way you articulate the vision is powerful. Ethan felt a rush of elation at the affirmation. He had done it. Together they had transformed that one precarious moment from an elevator ride into a movement that could redefine the industry. As the meeting ended and the buzz of ideas filled the room, Ethan couldn't help but reflect on how far he had come. He had stepped into that elevator anxious and unsure, and now he was about to embark on a journey that could change everything, not just for him, but for the countless users whose voices would be heard. In that brief encounter, the founder had truly unlocked Ethan's potential, reaffirming that sometimes all it takes to seize an opportunity is to take a step forward and hold the door open for others. And as he looked around at his team, the possibilities felt limitless, their stories ready to take flight. The elevator doors were closing when Ethan spotted him. His heart leaped into his throat. Wait, he shouted, racing forward. In a split second, he slipped through the opening just as the doors creaked back open. Inside, the air felt charged with opportunity. The man standing there was the founder of the tech company where Ethan had just begun his internship. Legendary, charismatic, with a presence that seemed to fill the small elevator with electric energy. The kind of figure you read about in articles, someone who shaped the industry, the very embodiment of success. Nice catch, the founder said with a smirk, clearly amused as he stepped back, giving Ethan room to breathe. Thanks, I'm just trying to make a good impression, Ethan replied, awkwardly smoothing down his shirt as he tried to gather himself. As the doors closed, he could feel the moment turning from random coincidence to something monumental. The elevator started rising, and Ethan fought to keep his nerves under control. He ventured, eager to keep the conversation flowing. Yeah, big day, the founder replied, glancing at Ethan with an expression that suggested he was curious. And you? Ethan felt his pulse quicken. This was the moment he had longed for. I'm in development. We're launching a project aimed at enhancing user engagement. The founder raised an eyebrow, clearly intrigued. Stories, that's an interesting angle. Ethan felt a spark ignite inside him. If we can gather user experiences and weave them into a narrative, we can create a deeper connection. The weight of the founder's gaze intensified. Ethan fought the urge to second-guess himself, but just then, the elevator lurched to an abrupt stop. It flickered and silence poured over them like thick fog. Ethan gasped, his throat tightening with fear. "Looks like we're stuck," the founder said casually, as if it was just another day in a life full of unpredictable moments. Ethan pressed the emergency button, but it only beeped softly, the sound echoing hopelessly in the cramped space. His heart raced, dread creeping in as he glanced at the floor indicators, hoping they would light up again. "Relax," the founder said, leaning back against the wall. Ethan struggled to calm himself. This was not how he had envisioned this encounter. It felt like the universe was testing him. "Great," he muttered. "Still can," the founder replied, a hint of encouragement in his tone. "You've got this moment to yourself." Taking a deep breath, Ethan pressed forward. "Okay, I really believe we could make a significant impact. If we allow users to share their stories, it cultivates trust. Trust is critical," the founder said, his interest growing. Ethan could feel the adrenaline pumping. "We could design a system that highlights authenticity, maybe introduce a verification process to build credibility." A silence enveloped the elevator as the founder considered Ethan's words. The tension shifted, becoming charged with potential. It felt as if they were both on the brink of discovery, two minds converging in a small metal box. "You've put some thought into this," the founder said finally, the corners of his mouth curving into a smile. "But what about the technology behind it?" Ethan's confidence surged. "We could utilize AI to analyze the sentiment of user submissions, matching them with similar experiences and creating an environment for dialogue." "That's ambitious," the founder remarked, his tone teasing. "Absolutely," Ethan replied, his conviction wrapping around him like armor. "People today crave connection, especially digital connection, but it needs to feel genuine and authentic." The founder chuckled softly. "Looks like you've already thought of everything." As they spoke, the elevator jolted again, causing their eyes to widen. Ethan felt his heart skip a beat. "Not exactly the ideal brainstorming space," the founder quipped, and Ethan could see the playful glint in his eye. "Better than nothing," Ethan replied, feeling the rhythm return. He was riding a wave of enthusiasm, using the uncertainty to fuel his ambition. "In fact, let's use this time wisely." "All right, let's do it," the founder said, a hint of challenge in his tone. Ethan seized the moment. "What if we introduced a monthly story competition? Users could share their most impactful experiences, and we showcase the top entries." "Interesting," the founder mused, tapping his chin as he considered the idea. "People love competition and validation, but how would we ensure quality?" "Great point. We could implement a community voting system. Users could upvote stories, and qualified judges could select the top entries based on certain criteria," Ethan proposed, feeling a surge of excitement with every word. "I like that," the founder replied, genuine interest reflected in his eyes. Ethan felt like he was building a bridge, one idea connecting to another, each thought solidifying their ultimate vision. It's all about creating a space where users feel inspired to express themselves. Just then, the elevator lurched again. With a strained noise, the lights flickered back to life, illuminating the confines of their small sanctuary once more. "All this talk about community and connection, and we find ourselves stuck in a metal box," the founder joked. Ethan chuckled, the tension easing as he embraced the lightheartedness of the moment. "Don't underestimate the power of those moments," the founder said with a twinkle in his eye. Finally, the elevator jolted and came to a soft stop. The doors began to creak open, and floodlights lit the hallway outside. As they stepped out into the bustling lobby, the energy surged around them, and Ethan felt that familiar wave of excitement wash over him. "Hey, before you go," Ethan said, suddenly nervous again. He paused, almost hesitating. "Can I have your card?" The founder paused, a gleam of respect in his eyes. "You've got guts, kid." He handed Ethan a business card. "Email me." Ethan felt a rush of triumph. "Thank you." The founder smiled before turning to leave. "Good luck, Ethan." As the founder walked away, Ethan stood in the buzz of the lobby, disbelief coursing through him. He had just shared ideas with the founder of his company. That single elevator ride had turned into a moment that could change not just his career, but possibly the entire way they engaged their users. Days turned into a whirlwind of activity. Ethan dove headfirst into his work, his mind flooded with ideas, shaped and refined in the wake of that memorable encounter. Fueled by adrenaline, he rallied a group of enthusiastic colleagues who shared his vision for embracing storytelling within their platform. Late nights turned into brainstorming sessions, energy radiating throughout the team as they fleshed out every detail, inspired by possibilities yet to be realized. But as excitement spread, skepticism crept in too. Could they actually turn this vision into reality? Ethan felt the pressure when faced with stakeholders who questioned the feasibility of their ideas, each doubt hitting like a weight on his shoulders. They asked. Ethan countered each concern, passionately reminding everyone that the essence of humanity is storytelling. It's about more than metrics, it's about connection. When people feel they belong, they become loyal, they become advocates. Every time he spoke, he felt the flame within him grow stronger. This wasn't just an idea, it was a movement that had the potential to transform their brand and elevate their community. Eventually, it was time to present the final proposal to the executive team, an event that made Ethan's stomach twist with knots of anxiety. The very thought of standing in front of the renowned founder and high-ranking executives sent shivers down his spine. On the day of the presentation, he stood outside the conference room, trying to quell the rising tide of nerves. Taking a deep breath, he reminded himself of the journey that had brought him here. This was his moment to shine. As he stepped inside, the entire room settled, all eyes fixating on him. "Thank you all for giving me this opportunity," he started, finding his footing despite the weight of expectation pressing down on him. As he shared their vision, explaining how they would enhance user engagement by transforming feedback into stories, he felt the energy in the room shift. The founder's presence loomed over them, but instead of fear, it filled Ethan with a sense of purpose. Each slide he presented echoed with conviction, illuminating the potential impact of their platform. He noticed nods of approval, expressions of intrigue growing across the faces around the table. By the time he finished, a wave of applause erupted, and Ethan felt relief wash over him. They believed in the vision, not just him, but the team behind it, pulling together a shift in their approach. The founder stood, clapping enthusiastically, pride evident in his smile. "Ethan," he said, his voice cutting through the commotion, "I can't express how impressed I am." Ethan felt gratitude swell up within him. He had come full circle, from that harrowing elevator ride to presenting his ideas in front of those who once felt untouchable. Later that evening, as Ethan walked out of the office, the city lights were bright, each flicker a reminder of the possibilities ahead. He had stepped into that elevator unsure of himself and emerged empowered, ready to lead a revolution in how they connected with their users. Every risk he had taken, every moment of bravery, had culminated right then and there. Ethan smiled to himself, ready to embrace the journey ahead, knowing that each small action could shape the future, just like that one fateful moment when he held the elevator door open for an opportunity that would change everything. The elevator doors were just about to close when Ethan spotted him, the founder of the tech company he had idolized for years, the man who had changed the industry with his groundbreaking ideas. "Wait," Ethan shouted, his heart racing as he lunged forward. The doors creaked back open, and there he was, the titan of innovation, smiling down at him. "Nice save," the founder replied, stepping back to let Ethan in. The air thickened with anticipation as the doors shut. Inside, it felt different, electric. Ethan asked, forcing himself to keep his voice steady despite his racing heart. "Yep," the founder said, casually adjusting his expensive cufflinks. "Big meeting today." "Right," Ethan replied, his mind racing. This was a golden opportunity, a moment he had dreamed about since he joined the company as an intern. He couldn't let it slip away. "I'm working on a new project focused on user engagement." The founder's interest peaked. "Stories, that's interesting." Ethan felt a rush of courage. "Exactly. If we can collect users' experiences and share them, we can create a sense of community." Just as the promise of their conversation began to blossom, the elevator shivered violently, jerking them both unexpectedly. Ethan's stomach dropped and he instinctively reached for the railing. He exclaimed. "Looks like we're stuck," the founder said, his voice calm, as if this was an ordinary occurrence in his day. "Stuck? No way." Panic clawed its way up Ethan's throat as he pressed the emergency button. It just beeped quietly, leaving him feeling helpless. "Take a breath," the founder said, casually leaning against the wall as if they had all the time in the world. Sometimes life throws a wrench into things. Ethan stole a glance at the founder. How could he be so calm? This was a crucial day, and they were trapped in a metal box thousands of feet off the ground. He admitted, frustration leaking into his voice. "No time like the present, Ethan," the founder replied encouragingly. Ethan's heart raced. "Okay, right, so I believe storytelling can enhance user interaction and loyalty." The founder listened intently, his eyes widening slightly. "Go on." Ethan felt as if he were riding a wave of potential. "If we give users a platform for their stories, we can inspire them to share their experiences." The founder smiled, leaning in, clearly intrigued. "But how do you get users to share their stories openly?" For a moment, Ethan paused. Vulnerability was indeed the crux of his idea. Trust is essential. If we can build a transparent system that protects user privacy while celebrating their stories, they'll feel safe participating. "Interesting," the founder mused, nodding. "Simple. We could allow users to verify their identities, and we could display a badge for every user who contributes a genuine story." Ethan glowed with enthusiasm, feeling every word carry weight. The founder's expression shifted from curiosity to genuine intrigue, but just then the elevator jolted again, the lights flickering. Ethan gasped, gripping the railing tighter. "Probably just a glitch," the founder said, unfazed, though Ethan could see a flicker of concern cross his face. Ethan felt time dragging, thick with uncertainty. "What if we're stuck here for hours? I had plans to pitch in front of the entire executive team today." Or, the founder countered, it could be an opportunity for something greater. Ethan blinked. Could it be an unexpected brainstorming session right here inside an elevator? Exactly. No idea is wasted when you're aiming for greatness. The founder folded his arms. Ethan felt a rush of adrenaline. "We could create monthly competitions for the best stories, with rewards, maybe even features where winning stories would get highlighted on the platform." Great concept, but what about quality control? Right, we could implement a community voting system. Users could upvote stories, and a panel could ensure quality. Ethan felt as if the walls of the elevator were bending and giving way, as if every spoken word opened up new dimensions. You've got imagination. I like it, the founder said, a genuine smile spreading across his face. Ethan beamed under the warmth of the founder's encouragement. The man was an icon, a visionary, and yet here they were, trapped and engaging in a conversation that could change everything. The elevator jolted again, but Ethan steadied himself. If there's anything we can take from this, it's that sometimes the most innovative ideas come from the least expected situations. Spoken like a true innovator, the founder replied, leaning closer. Just then, the elevator gave another sudden lurch, lights flickering questioningly. Ethan's heart raced. What would happen if they were stuck here indefinitely? Let's aim to turn this delay into something epic, the founder suggested, eyeing Ethan with newfound respect. Yes, we could tap into social media influencers to help promote the story-sharing feature. Collaboration with micro-influencers who resonate with our community could amplify our reach significantly. The founder nodded, obviously impressed. Now you're thinking outside of traditional marketing strategies. Ethan felt like a warrior in a battle he never expected to face. He was not just talking, he was crafting a vision with someone who had achieved the heights of success he had only dreamed about. Suddenly, the elevator stopped with a jolt. The lights steadied and the doors dinged open. Looks like we're free, the founder said, stepping forward. He turned back to Ethan, a broad smile lighting up his face. You've got something special here, kid. Ethan barely could process the rush of emotion swelling within him. Thank you for believing in me. As the founder exited the elevator, Ethan took a final deep breath, feeling the adrenaline course through him yet again. This opportunity was just beginning. As he stepped out behind the founder into the bustling lobby, he could feel the energy of the place, the anticipation, the hustle and bustle of people, all chasing their own goals. The founder turned toward him, extending his hand. Good luck, Ethan. Ethan reached out to shake it, hope radiating through him. Just as their hands clasped, a commotion caught his attention from the corner of his eye. A group of employees was gathering, eyes wide, expressions tense. Someone shouted. Ethan turned to the founder, confusion etched on his face. But before the founder could respond, another figure appeared, this one clad in a dark suit and looking intensely serious. We need to assemble everyone immediately. Ethan's stomach dropped, server issues, anxiety twisted within him. The founder's expression shifted, concern knitting his brow. I need to go. With one last firm handshake, he was gone, swallowed by the throng of anxious teammates. Ethan stood there elated at the progress he'd made, yet struck with a sense of urgency. If the servers were down, the project they'd discussed could be at risk. He needed to act fast. He hurried toward the conference room, determination coursing through him. The pitch of excitement was reaching a fever pitch, and he had to make his voice heard. The last thing he wanted was for a technical glitch to undermine everything they had worked for. But as he ran, a thought splintered in his mind. Was this the start of something incredible, or was it all about to unravel right before his eyes? The line between success and failure was razor-thin, and the pressure was mounting. As he pushed open the door to the conference room, the reality of the situation crashed over him like an icy wave. Tension filled the air, and he was about to fight for everything he believed in, standing at the precipice of his future. Would he be able to pull together the team and prove the vision was worth it, or would this be the end before it even began? The fate of their community hung in the balance, and Ethan was about to find out just how far he was willing to go.